Make no mistake about it, we're dealing with less than a sound mind. And we're also living through the America's worst time since the fall of Saigon. Well, tonight we're going to get your viewpoints on that right after this. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Video Call-In Show, that show that invites you to call into this show and talk about, well, the subject at hand. Let's just say that. But you can talk about anything you'd like to as well. I like to try to keep it on topic, so I will be bringing it back on topic. Like I said in the open, tonight's topic is, like I said, the America's worst time since the fall of Saigon. And it's just heartbreaking. It really is. As one who served this country, you just hate to see that. By the way, joining to call in is real easy. All you've got to do is point your browser to zoom.us or your app. When it asks for the meeting number, she's right there. So, sound. We'll get to that in a moment. Yeah. For those of you, Susan, who like Biden, I get it. He's kind of a likable guy. But at the same time, he's been in politics almost his entire life. And yet still, in fact, he was touted as the president going into the presidency with the most foreign relations experience of any other before him. And yet, here we are. We find ourselves flat-footed. The response is just unbelievable. We've got Americans still behind enemy lines. The Taliban came in and reclaimed the place within days. Days. We've been there for 20 years. And yet, Biden even said himself, and again, I'm going to preface all of this saying that I hope all of us understand the cognitive decline that Biden's in right now. I don't think there's any question about that at all. In fact, his wife and many others had already recognized this prior to his run for the presidency, and yet they paraded him. I in some weird way, feel sorry for him from that aspect, to be put in the limelight and literally propped up. I mean, there are no shortage of video footage out there that shows that cognitive decline. It's ugly, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. We've gone through that with some of our relatives, and it's just absolutely embarrassing for their family, for us. But again, and there's some great points being brought up in the chat. I'll get to the chat here in a moment. But yeah, I can't believe we allowed this to happen. I just can't believe. And I'm talking about both the election and this unbelievably horrible pullout when they were warned. Yet the administration is sticking their guns and saying that they didn't know, or say they didn't know how this could be done without chaos. Well, that was simply untrue. Several advisors have come forth, and not only that, but several of Biden's hand-picked advisors have come out to contradict the administration. So let me address some of these questions in chat while we're waiting on our first guest. If you guys want to talk at all, I mean, it's okay. Hello, Skywalker. Good to see you. What alive? Good to see you as well, my friend. Susan Hamilton, always a pleasure to have you, dear. Always a pleasure to have you. What happened at someone doesn't like the conversation that hasn't happened yet. Let me know what you're talking about, Susan, in the chat if you would. Not quite sure about that. I wasn't watching the chat. I was getting things ready. So you're right, Wendell. No one wants to hear an opposing opinion at all, and it's just it's that again is disheartening. It's really indicative of where we've gone in the last 20 to 30 years. I get that you like Biden, Susan. I mean, that's okay. I don't understand it, knowing what I know about Biden, having been in politics for 50 years and not really accomplish anything other than the 1994 crime bill, which probably put more black folks behind bars than any other of its kind, as I slobber. Um, and what's worse is his son selling access to the office of the vice presidency. I mean, that is just astounding. What's even more astounding is that the press buried it prior to the election. They buried all of the Hunter stories, even though he's under investigation. I mean, I just it's a it's just it's just not believable how the press has now we're going to go back to the press because the press has a role in this. Their malfeasance is certainly a huge reason that we're in the state that we're in today, because they've lost their way. They don't know how to be reporters anymore. All they do, and take this from someone who's worked in broadcast television that has a news department, all they do is regurgitate Associated Press talking points. They don't do their own stories unless it's some, water skiing dog or some shit. So, yeah, it's oh, about the thumbs down. Did I already get a thumbs down? Good. Thumb my ass down. I don't care. I really don't care. That's what people don't understand. Of course, they're thumbing down the subject matter rather than me right off the bat. But hey, to each his own. Live and let live. That is my motto. Herman the Great, how you doing? I'm doing okay. I'm sad, of course, based on the curtain situation. I mean, I just can't believe it was handled so poorly, or is being handled so poorly. I mean, it's happening while we speak, and I really feel bad for those Afghanis who are not cool with the totalitarian Jesus Christ, I can't even say it. Let's just say the iron fist rule of the Taliban. I mean, it's a brutal thing to live under. A government entirely driven by religion, guided by the religion, and of course, nothing in the history of mankind has made so many good people do bad things than religion. It's just that. I'm not trying to change your mind, Susan. I'm really not trying to change your mind. I'm just telling you how I feel about it, right? And you're more than welcome. Anyone is more than welcome to come on, tell me I'm wrong, or at least give me their side. I mean, that's what this is all about, right? Friendly conversation, debate, discussion. I mean, what are we if we're not discussing things? So, and Herman's right. The mainstream media is the true enemy of the people. They have literally lost their way. I want to say they're directed, but it's a free country. They can do whatever they want. But the whole idea behind a free press is that they keep those people who are to govern us, who we elect to govern us, to account, right? For their missteps. And they are not doing it. They are absolutely not doing it. Now, I will give them this. They've been more critical of this administration's handling of the Afghan pullout, but not enough. What they're not telling you is this was the reason we were in Afghanistan was more for money. Any foot soldier will tell you that the Afghanis that they were training to take charge when we actually did leave, it's been reported that more than 3/4 of them were doing drugs. It's also been reported that a vast majority, I don't remember what the percentage is, were illiterate. And they knew the moment that the U.S. Decided to pull out that there was going to be a power vacuum and they were going to be worthless. Now that is on the backs of at least 3 presidents. But what it's just unbelievable. Don't get into politics. That would be my advice tonight. Do not get into politics. Let's see. Yeah, and Herman's right. He's not entirely to blame for this, but the buck stops with him, right? He's the commander in chief. Any major decision that is to be had, and that would include pulling out, is his decision. Now, was he acting on bad information? I don't know. Probably. There are a lot of idiots that he has to listen to. Primarily, I wish I remember that general's name, that stupid, pardon my language, that asshole who is woke, more worried about white privilege than he is how to run the military. Good Lord. I just want to smack that guy upside the head, knock some shit about it from between those ears. I just can't. All right, who else have I missed? Hello, New Orleans girl. How are you? Have I missed anyone else? Yes, it's his entire cabinet. I mean, that's when you're president. Now, of course, you surround yourself with your cabinet, and I'm sure that he tried, but most of his handlers were doing it for him. But that's what they're there for, is to give you different perspectives on any sort of action that the president might take. Of course, it's ultimately the president's decision, but yeah, absolutely. Hello, Jim, above and beyond drones. I saw you earlier. I'm sorry, I didn't say hello. Yes, Trump did start the process of leaving. I guarantee you, though, I bet my bottom dollar that he would not left Americans behind. Not only that, he would have listened to those who, on the ground who know. I just don't think that I don't think that Biden cared enough. It might very well be that since things were getting pretty hot under the collar for him, this might just be a huge diversion. Let's have the next Saigon, and they won't be talking about my son in the press anymore. The investigations against him. You never know. You never know. I mean, the guy did sell his office out to the Chinese. So Beijing Biden's got a lot to answer for. Let me get to my first guest here, so you don't have to listen to me babble on for so long. Let's see. I knew that was you, dude. Hang on just a minute. All right. Hey, Jimbo. I can't hear you, man. I cannot hear you, my friend. Nothing's changed over here, so check your microphone in Zoom and make sure it's the one you're using while he's doing that. Yeah, I think he would have. Mean tweets aside, which, who gives a shit? He was a social buffoon, but the guy got things done. He also recognized that the threat of China Susan. That's Trump, that is. Uh, Beijing Biden hadn't said one word about that. Yeah, and it is the right response, right? It's listening to. He had an advisor, was just on, of all things, I think it was MSNBC, saying that we've put forth several plans for withdrawal, and they were totally ignored. Totally ignored.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
There you go. I hear you now, man.
I had to reset the Zoom, made me re-download. I guess they had a newer since the last time I've been on.
Oh, that's weird.
Wow, was that camera terrible?
It's just a lot. How you doing, Jim?
So, good. I can't, I'm watching the videos of Apaches clearing the runway for the 117s to take off while people are hanging on. And Trump had a different plan. Most people don't know that, but he had a different plan for the takeover.
Yes.
This was just ridiculous.
It was.
It's embarrassing. I'm tired of being embarrassed. It's, the reference to 75 Saigon and then this all over again.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks after Biden had said, you're never going to see pictures of that happening again.
It's exactly what he said, too. Yeah. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable, dude.
People don't want to talk about this. For 4 years, they sat there and hammered Trump and tried to impeach him every day. Yep. And yet, look what we're going along with. I don't get America. I don't.
I don't either, Jim. I'm right there with you, man. I don't really know what happened and when it happened.
I remember last week you were talking about your son, and I'm almost like, are we allowed to be men anymore?
Well,
saying be a man, is that still a thing? I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure someone will take umbrage with it, but I don't care. And that's the thing. It takes people to stand up to that sort of what I would consider. I don't know. It's part of the cancel culture, right?
Yeah.
Masculinity being toxic and everything being a trigger. If there's, I'm at a loss for words here. I'm at a loss for words. Hey, look,
I don't know. When you start talking about it on regular shows, people leave. They don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Lloyd and I every now and then we'll have conversations. Mm-hmm. You got to stop immediately. I didn't come here to talk politics. They don't care anymore.
Right.
I mean, 20 years over time, this was not a war.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do the American people know that we were paying their salaries to be soldiers? I mean, if you can't make a man defend his own country,
no,
for God's sakes.
In the billions of dollars, as a matter of fact. And you know what they were saying? The trainers would say we'd have to do exercises before payday because after payday they would disappear. What does that tell you, man? What does that tell you about what we were trying to do over there? I mean, 20 years is a long time to figure out how futile that mission was, and they didn't do it.
Why didn't we just maintain a base in the region, right?
Yeah.
To keep the region open. We didn't have to follow in Russia's steps, but now we're leaving this wide open for, India's got their own problem now because China's going to come up through the north straight into Pakistan. I mean, people don't understand the implications of this nonsense.
No, they don't.
If you don't understand the implications, watch your gas prices, okay? Because OPEC is not raising. We're back to 1973 gas lines.
Mm-hmm.
In New York, we had odd and even days we could get gasoline. That was 1973.
Mm-hmm.
And now Biden's cutting XL pipeline and all this other crap, so we got to go buy more OPEC oil. But don't bitch about your gasoline price because Biden's doing a great job.
I
I don't know what you
honestly,
want.
I honestly would like to have somebody on that could tell me uh, three good things Biden's done. Just three. I don't know. Throw it in the chat if you guys want to. Just
But
three. Because I
$2
can't think
trillion
of a one, and I'm not
debt.
trying to shit on Biden because he's a sick man, but he's also been propped up as the leader of this nation. I want to know three things that he's done that's good for the people. What were you saying, Jim? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I'm just saying, with this, 2001, you had SARS, you had bird flu, you had the Zika virus, you had all this, you had the CDC patenting viruses, vaccines.
Yep.
People don't know about that either. So, let's not tell them. Let's not enlighten anybody because they don't want to hear it. And you don't have to be in the medical profession to actually understand that a paper mask only stops your spit from entering the planet. That's why they were made for doctors doing surgery, so they didn't infect you while they were performing surgery.
Right.
Okay, it's not a micron filter. It's not airtight. It's not going to stop a virus or a cold. We still can't do that, mankind. People are driving in their cars with a paper mask on. I laugh.
Oh man, so do I. Well, heaven forgive they give the virus to themselves.
Now, you have to, me. I have never worn a mask, and I refuse to. And
Mm-hmm.
at my doctor's office, it says you have to wear a mask to come in.
Mm-hmm.
So I open the door and I say, do you want me here or not?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll take you in anyway. But the point is, if you don't, I'll leave. It's everybody's option.
Yeah, exactly, and it should be.
I don't own an N95 mask, and I'm not going to sit there and breathe in one all day.
Yeah. Nor will I, dude. Nor will I. It should be left.
Painting your car wears a better mask.
Oh, no doubt. Hell, I wear a better mask in my garage when I'm grinding metal and
Right.
welding. Sometimes when I'm cutting wood, those wood fibers are not something you want hanging around your lugs either.
No. How bad is my camera? Is it as bad as it looks?
It doesn't look that bad, man.
Oh, okay. On my end, it looks terrible.
Really?
Oh my God.
No, it's not. It's not as bad as you think it is.
So
we're losing people. Like you said, they don't want to talk about it.
No, why? But they were so happy to impeach because he didn't speak nicely to the people.
Right.
That was Trump's only problem. He didn't know how to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get on Twitter and tell people to screw off. Tell them a reason.
Yeah. If
he was no Ronald Reagan, that's for sure.
Oh no, not even close. But like I said, man, he got stuff done, and that's what I was so impressed with. And I went into it not knowing what was going to happen. It's like, oh, okay, he's doing shit. That's great. Mean tweets, I don't care. I just don't care.
They should have stayed off social media. I know that much.
Yeah, they should have.
Because that didn't help him.
No. But I don't know if that would change anything because he was an establishment politician and people hated him for that.
Exactly.
Herman asks, do you believe Biden should be impeached? Your thoughts? Yes. Although I hate to think what happens if he has to step down, because I can't imagine the vice president being worth anything. I mean, she'd be worse actually. And then what happens? Let's say that she screws up. Then we got Pelosi. Oh man.
Am I totally wrong that Kamala Harris only has 3 years of actual politician experience? I don't know anything about her, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sure as hell wouldn't want her as president.
No, well, she was prosecutor in California for many years. That's where she met Willie Brown, and made her ascent to the top. But yeah, her. In fact, it's amazing that she was picked at all. She was the most unpopular candidate in the primaries. she lost her own state, for the love of Pete. And just her actually being there is a miracle in and of itself.
This is the first election in my lifetime where I went to bed with the president, the incumbent, winning,
Mm-hmm.
and woke up in the morning and he had lost. Never in my lifetime have I seen such a thing.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. I almost stayed up all night that night, and I watched the spike happen. It was uncanny, dude.
You've got states still fighting the fact that you have to have an actual ID to vote.
Oh, I know.
What's wrong with that? What's the matter with that?
Well, you know what they say. You know what? So does Indiana. What they say is that it disenfranchises minority voters. Now that's the bigotry of low expectations. That assumes that minorities don't know where their damn DMV is to get a free ID. I mean, it literally, that's a smokescreen. I mean, they don't want election accountability is the problem, because they were screaming for it just, not so many years ago. I mean, the mitigated gall of our politicians, it just puts me over the edge. Just puts me over the edge. But that's their argument, dude. And now
Comey spent how many years investigating Trump and all this? I don't know. I haven't seen Biden's taxes. Should I see Biden's? I mean, these people became millionaires by being congressmen.
Yeah.
That's not what the job was made for.
No. And they're all getting rich. Every single one of them goes into politics.
She has the biggest fence. She's got the biggest fence of all around her property.
Yeah, well,
she won't build one on my border.
She's got to protect that ice cream. Let them eat ice cream.
Well, like you said, okay, he handed out. It affected my family, so I'm going to say he put people out of work. Mm-hmm. Do you think a $1,400 check helped anybody catch up on their mortgage or on their rent?
Nope.
And in July, I think it was at the end of July, Trump had put in place that there was going to be no foreclosures or evictions during the pandemic. Well, in July, that ran out, and what's his name? Biden let it.
Well, not only that, but he let the CDC guide that directive. It's not law, and it's not even an executive order, but he literally allowed the CDC to make that recommendation and give them the authority to make sure that happens. And the worst part about it is there's not a foreclosure piece to that. It's only rent protection. So you don't have to pay rent if you can't pay rent as far as they're concerned. But the landlords, they have no recourse. Banks can foreclose on them. It's the most lopsided thing I've ever heard. I know it sounds good, but that's usually what politicians do. They pass legislation that's in the public interest, and it's nowhere near the public interest. Try starting.
What's going on? I'm seeing 2008 happen all over again, because houses here in Florida, and this is not just Florida, because I have a friend in South Dakota. These tiny 1,300 square foot homes that are made with concrete block, built in 2 weeks. 10 guys come in, put up the block walls, and then you just got to wait around for the roofers to get there, the electricians, right? $250,000. It was $67,000 when I moved to Florida.
Oh yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because we are going to be looking at a giant real estate bubble burst very, very soon.
43% of Manhattan. This guy, Louis Rossman, I don't know if you watch him with his right to repair.
Mm-mm.
He's fighting for a right to repair, because, you can't repair your
Apple machine. Yeah. I do watch some of his videos. Yeah.
He's got a video up showing 43% of this one main street in Manhattan, like Millionaires Row, that kind of thing. It's got 43% closed.
Wow.
But nobody's screaming. Nobody's yelling, what the hell's going on?
And that should be the
Are we
press.
wrong?
Yeah, that should absolutely be the press. No, I don't think we're wrong. Absolutely not. But the biggest voice we have as a people are the press, and they are falling down on the job. They're the ones that's supposed to keep everyone informed of these sort of things happening, so that public opinion can be swayed. Not hiding stories, man.
I find it so fractured now that I actually have to go looking for decent news.
Oh yeah.
I've got to send you this piece. But you see, I even posted it on Facebook, but it's about 25 minutes of audio.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, you can't get people to listen to that.
No.
They're talking about when the CDC filed patents back in 2001 for the SARS virus, but they were doing it for animals.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they started out.
Yeah.
So none of this was a surprise. And you all know that in 2000, I was at Las Vegas during the Consumer Electronics Show, surrounded by 800,000 Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I not dead?
Right. Susan Hamilton says, so Biden's responsible for housing market too? No, Susan. He is not responsible for that. That's more a function of the shutdowns. Because suddenly houses weren't being built. So demand outstripped supply. So the housing prices went up. I don't blame Biden for that specifically. He's not helping anything by encouraging states to shut down. But no, it's not his fault directly. I just wish he would do something about it. And that is just open this shit back up. Let us.
That would be microeconomics. We're talking about macroeconomics, where today you have to wear a mask and get everybody scared of dying, and tomorrow it's okay, but then next month you have to start wearing. Look at Miami now, or Broward County. They just announced that the kids are going to have to wear masks again, and they're pretty much rioting that they're not going to do it.
Yeah, well,
South Carolina, I think, did the same thing.
Yeah, and Biden actually, he actually called up the, I think it was the principal or at least someone on that school board, and congratulated him. That news just came out, I think, yesterday. Could not believe it. Could not believe it. We're still, kids get sick with it, but we're still under 1,000. Yeah, that's so far below all the other causes of death for children. It's not even funny. And yet we're panicking over it. It's like you said, I just can't see the country the way it used to be. I don't know what happened. How did we become so fearful that we can't even live now?
Listen, that's how the treaties of Versailles made Germany happen. Nobody remembers history, but
nobody wants to remember history.
About,
yeah. Nobody wants to remember history. It's all bad, and that needs so it needs to be shut down. When really, it's our roadmap, right? It helps us understand what could happen, and I love the people who are what I would consider anti-gun. How they say it could never happen, in this day and age. And we just watched it happen yet again. The Taliban's going door to door to confiscate weapons, all in the name of public safety. We don't need it now. We're going to take care of you. That's how it starts, man. That's how it starts.
And then the women were getting educated. We were building schools for them, and even India was building schools.
Yeah.
So Susan, you won't be allowed back in school. Neither will your kids, because Trump surrounded himself with business people. Yeah, well, we run like a business. This country is run like a business.
I'd like to think it is. He
said,
I want it to be run like a business.
Before I make a law, 2 laws have to come down. Remember when he first got in and he said that? And then Reagan started with the Paperwork Reduction Act, and yet we've still got more paperwork than ever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's what governments are best at, right? Red tape and spending other people's money. And that's where I say that the government really isn't a business because they don't earn their income,
Right.
and they don't really produce anything. They're supposed to provide a service, and that is national defense, right? And good governing. And they can't even get those two things right, and that fills me with more despair than just about anything else. I mean, I'm beside myself, man, just beside myself. And it's one of the reasons I started this show and starting getting more of these topics because they've got to be talked about. They absolutely have to be talked about. It's not comfortable, but sometimes discussions aren't comfortable. The tough ones are the ones that need to be had. Am I right?
If you remain silent, you're allowing it to happen.
Yes.
You know, if you don't raise your voice and be heard, then it's like a truck driving over you. It just every law that will just go into practice. You got to voice your opinion at some time. All right,
Exactly.
I'm having my own problems with the FAA. You know,
Mm,
out of 1 million people who fly drones, only 53,000 bothered to comment. You know, and even that's being taken over by big business.
mm,
But that's another subject. But it's a subject where you can actually see the numbers.
hmm. Yeah, I said it last show. I said, what evil persists when good men do nothing, right?
Yeah.
So we've all got to stand up and voice our opinion. And like I said, that's exactly the reason I decided to go down these roads. It may not change a lot of minds or even make a lot of people aware, given my relatively small audience, but um, it's doing something along with voting and writing.
I can never understand a country that doesn't want to support itself. Like the people won't fight for themselves. I mean, dropping arms and running because the Taliban are coming. It's 5 guys in a Toyota truck and you're running? What the hell's the matter with you?
I know, right?
But they also, what was he? Was he a president or something? They saw him leave the country with cars full of cash.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, you know, like,
Well, that was probably the
I
the
guess,
large demoralization right there, right? Oh, what? President's leaving? Oh crap! I got to get out of here. Let's cling to a plane. Oh man,
oh, that video got played 1 million times. Well, yeah,
yeah, it
when the
did.
wheels come up, you're going off.
Yeah, yeah. And you're not surviving that altitude either. Not without a pressurized cabin. You're sunk.
People were complaining that because you know the few shots you did see of inside the D-17 117, it was all men. They were saying, "Where are the women and children? They're left there to fight for their own rights as a country because, yeah, like you said, they're going door to door
Yeah, there's no chivalry.
looking for anybody."
Yeah, there's no chivalry in that environment. It's every man for themselves. Not women and children first, because women are second class citizens. Basically, I don't know what you do with
And
that.
now it's going to go back to Sharia law, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, well, no,
yeah. They're
you let it
lost.
happen to yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, I think the only thing we could have done was establish a base, stay in there, keep the region a bit stable, right? That would have been the only way to do it. And I hate the thought of that being somewhat of an isolationist. But only because we've seen it happen before. We saw it when the Soviets pulled out of Afghan.
Hmm.
Yep. And any idiot could have seen this writing on the wall. I mean, almost immediately if something wasn't done
Well,
differently.
Wendell's 100% right.
What do you say?
It's a different culture with different priorities, and they're very tribal
Yep,
in Afghanistan.
they
You've
are.
got tribes fighting each other, the Kurdish or the
The Kurds.
I don't
Hmm.
know, the Kurd Hush or whatever it is.
Yeah.
If
Yep.
you're fighting amongst yourselves, how are you expected to get together and fight against the Taliban? Hey, we had our own civil war. We know
Hmm.
about that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It is what people do. Yeah.
But
So,
I'm just saying, at least we should have kept that base we had in the north
hmm
to maintain a presence. Because what did Biden say? Oh well, if you attack any of the Americans trying to evacuate, well then they'll be held to pay. So it's a little too late.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Have you heard whether or not they've agreed to send more troops back in to get the American citizens out? I know they've been talking about it,
I
but
saw
I haven't seen them actually do
the
it yet.
UN got together for a 30-minute conference. I saw that much.
Well,
And that's exactly what they're worrying about, getting the translators and the people who actually help them out. I got to tell you, anybody who drops their rifle and runs to an airplane, I don't want as my neighbor.
No.
I can't count on you to support the country you're coming to.
Yep, you're absolutely right, Susan. Let them fight their own battles. Who was it? Voltaire that said the people deserve the government they vote for. Yeah, well, or they allow to exist. That's exactly what they're doing. If you allow the Taliban to come in, then you deserve it. Oh, but please learn how to do a jumping jack. Did you see that video?
No.
Oh man, It was some people said it was set up, but it was a training video for the Afghan soldiers that were supposed to defend when we did pull out. Not a one of them could do a proper jumping jack.
Oh, they were trying to show physical therapy, PT.
Yeah. I don't know if it was staged, but it didn't look staged.
I doubt it. Like they cared.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
Didn't want to do a jumping jack.
No,
what the hell's this?
It was like I said, it was that exercise probably happened just before payday. The people on the ground knew. They knew it was futile. They absolutely knew it was futile. Go out there, folks. Go out there and listen to some of the people who've come back, who've been on the ground, and know much more about it than we ever will. Doing their international work. Biggest challenge was letting my U.S. colleagues understand how things are done in a different country, and not how things are done in the U.S. Yeah.
People get tired of that crap. They'll fix it. Well, they didn't fix it before we got there. They was from 79 to 89 was the Russians were in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then after 2001, we went in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't bring more terrorism to our shores, which it's most likely to. And she's absolutely right.
Most likely to, because we haven't closed off the borders.
Exactly. She's absolutely right as well. That war was about contractors making money. Yeah, both of them, right? There's been a lot of talk about how many pockets were lined in these last 20 years.
Oh,
jeez.
Because from LBJ on, they were afraid. I mean, Ho Chi Minh Trail went through friggin' Laos and Cambodia, but Nixon was afraid to say, yes, we're bombing the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry that the North Vietnamese were so smart to put it through Laos and Cambodia, but we're going to bomb it. Instead, they go denying it. No, we're not bombing another country. Screw them. Yes, I'm bombing the guys who are coming to the south. And, oh, look, you had the Tet Offensive in 68, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You got to cut these things off.
You do. And that's why
do something halfway, and that's what we do. And
that's why politicians should never be involved in war. Never. Because they don't know the first thing about it. You know, that's one of the problems that if I had anything to change the Constitution with, that the founding fathers should have done, was taking money and time out of politics. They didn't do that. I wish they would have. Oh, and lawyers. I would forbid lawyers to become politicians. But I'm a little biased against lawyers.
The taking the money out of it would accomplish that, because you're getting rid of the lobbyists, who usually are lawyers and all that. You know,
Oh yeah.
the amount of lobbying that gets done is,
Well, yeah,
it's almost like we have no say.
half the laws that have been enacted have been at the behest of lobbyists, and their argument is always in the public good. I think I brought this up a year or two ago. Try starting a trucking company in the States. Nope. There have been so many laws that will forbid you to use certain routes because someone's already using that route, like it matters, right? But the Teamsters will have a little chat with you as well, and you'll never get it off the ground. And that was all done in the interest of public good.
Wendell says many politicians are lawyers too. You know, the problem
I know, I hate
that happened in this country is you almost have to be rich to become a politician now. I mean, if you're just a guy who wants to help out your own city or community, you've got to have the bucks to advertise, and when we see where that's gone.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I get the argument, right? The argument is that taking money out of politics is taking away your First Amendment right to expression. I kind of get that argument, but I think it could be done in such a way where it doesn't limit your right to support a candidate, but it just keeps it to a level that levels the playing field, right? For like you were talking about, those people who don't have a lot of money. We won't see that in our lifetime.
Guys are talking about it in the chat. Yeah, everyone in government has been compromised by big money. Yeah, yes. They have. They're constantly in their ear. What do they call that? K Street, Jim?
Mm-hmm.
Where the
lobbyists are?
Live?
Yeah.
AOT. That AOC, okay, I'm sitting there watching a video of AOC because Wendell just put her name up. I wasn't going to talk about her. Okay, she's sitting there, and they tell her on the video, okay, we're going to start recording. She puts the mask on.
Mm-hmm.
When they're done recording, she takes the mask off.
Yep.
Do these people forget the cameras are everywhere?
Yes, they do, Jim. She's not the first to get caught in that little piece of theater.
Did
not
you
only
see
that
video.
Before we get, okay, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. No, you go.
I was going to talk about AOC. I don't know if a lot of people understand how AOC got to where she is right now. They literally put out a casting call for politicians. I think her brother threw her name into the hat. She was picked, she was groomed, she was backed by PAC money, and that's how she got in. That's how morons get into public office, and I believe she's a moron. She's probably a nice girl, but she's an idiot. Okay, what were you going to say, Jim? I had to get that off my chest since somebody, Wendell mentioned AOC and the bartender.
The thing is, you don't even know when you're part of a PAC. Yeah. Some of these emails that I get, they just sound like, you're doing the right thing. And then you look at who's behind it, and it's all those guys we used to talk about who we don't anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Who are really running the country.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, look at Act Blue. They're the money laundering for organizations like Black Lives Matter. And they give all of their funds to Democratic candidates. There's probably one on the right too. I don't know which one it is. Don't hate on AOC. She's the future. God, I hope you're wrong, Susan. I hope she is not our future.
You're kidding, right?
She is. She's got lots of laughs in there. I'm hoping she is. I don't want that as my future. I don't want that for my grandkids' future. I don't want it for my kids' future. You can say Trump was a moron. Like Jim said, he's just not good at communicating.
The man should have never been allowed to go near social media.
Yeah.
And that was his problem. But he did do a lot of good things for this country, and nobody ever talks about him.
No, I loved the fact that we were energy independent. I thought that was one of the greatest things he'd ever done. And
It
within,
took us from all that time,
yeah, and within
all that time
seconds,
from
yeah,
70s.
moments after Biden was hired, when Biden got in office, he eliminated it immediately. And then it's crying to OPEC. I just, I,
Yeah,
oh,
they
she was
went to
laughing because I called
OPEC
her a
and
moron.
wanted OPEC. They wanted OPEC to raise the amount of oil they were producing
Mm-hmm.
at the U.S. request, and they said no.
Yeah, yeah, which tells you all you need to know about who holds power. I just, just not believing this. Just not believing it. How long do you think?
And literally,
Go ahead.
it's history repeating itself. You're
Mm-hmm.
literally watching it. We took all these years to become a oil producing nation, while at the same time trying to get this battery power problem solved. More energy in a compact place with electric. I mean, GM was the first one to have the EV1 car back in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
It worked so well that they called them all back and crushed them. We talked about this. Ed Begley Jr. had one, and
Yep.
they made a TV documentary about it.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are now with a $30,000 Tesla. I mean, come on. That thing was made like a Pinto, that EV1. If you remember,
Oh, I
it
do.
was a smaller car. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember them very clearly. Never had one. I knew someone
No.
who had one, but we didn't talk much. But yeah, I remember them vividly.
Hey, Chris Hope. He says the two gyms.
Hey, Chris Hope, how you doing, man? Thanks for being here. Yeah. Well,
But you get to this point, Jim. Do you have any answers? Because we're stuck with what we got.
that's the thing. The only answer that I have is that we contact our representatives. It's really the only power we have at this point, right? And one, we make sure that the investigations continue because there are a lot of investigations I really want to see come to a conclusion, not be swept under the rug and just die. Yeah, a quiet death. There's far too many of them that need to be addressed. And like I said,
Now, can you fill me in on some of that? Is that with Hunter Biden?
yeah, Hunter Biden's one of them. But there's also a lot of investigations into still the vote.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
mean,
a travesty.
the one thing we cannot allow to become corrupted is our voting process, because once the people have no faith in our elections legitimacy, then it's a much bigger problem than the things we're seeing right now. We can tuck our tail on Afghanistan, but we cannot get through life without uh, you know elections that are
One of the
on the up and
quotes
up.
I saw from Reuters was China saying that our pull out of Afghanistan went about as well as our vote for president.
Yeah, yeah, it's no secret.
That's from Reuters.
Yeah, yeah, which is surprising, right? That they even said anything about it. But yeah, it's just that important. So those are the two investigations I can think of off the top of my head. Because I think there's a lot more to this um, Biden story than we're being made aware of. Did you hear that the insurrection was no longer an insurrection?
No.
Oh yeah, FBI said there's no evidence that anyone coordinated it, and that Trump was. We all knew that Trump wasn't directly involved in a protest at the Capitol or
I
what
don't
happened.
listen. I saw all the videos of the Capitol Police standing by and people yelling at them, "Stop this!
Yeah.
Go in there and stop this!"
Yeah.
And they actually didn't. They stood there doing nothing. I posted that in Messenger and everything to my friends.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, why would you do this? Purely for the purpose of saying Trump started it? He's a bad boy?
Oh, I'm sure
you
of it.
let them.
I'm absolutely
Man,
sure of
what a
that, man.
world.
Yeah. I am 100% convinced that's why it happened. I mean, you saw the guys on the stand.
I have the video, Wendell. The video of the guy yelling at the police. Stop this. Call for backup.
Yeah. Well, the reason the FBI said there wasn't enough evidence is because it was open. Right? An insurrection would be breaking in and looking to take control. They didn't do that. They went in and they took selfies.
They didn't know what the hell they were doing.
Yeah, exactly. But it was literally open, and you can't have an insurrection when you're invited in. So they dismissed it as being such, which is great. Of course, it's the corrections always come as whispers. The initial headlines are yell, a boisterous yell, and the corrections are always whispers. So I'm glad at least I got that out, because a lot of people still believe what the mainstream media is telling them, and politicians too. They, even when they weren't there, they're crying about how much in danger they were.
I cut the cord. I think I told you this back in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So when I want news, I'll go to 3 or 4 different sources instead of being fed this crap on the TV anymore. It's liberating, I got to tell you, because not having it jammed down your throat. I'll watch Fox, I'll read Reuters, then I'll look at what other countries are saying, like the news from Britain or something like that, BBC.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get the truth.
Sometimes you get the truth. I like Sky Australia. They've got a pretty good news channel.
Sky News, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that Bagram, that airbase? Was that the name of it, Bagram Air Base? Because I heard that we had left broken down Apache helicopters and stuff like that there, and Taliban were taking pictures next to them.
Oh.
Well, go ahead. Try and get parts for them. It's not like I'm going to be sending you over jet fuel.
Well, the worst part about that is because it was millions, if not billions, of dollars worth of equipment left behind.
Right.
They've already said that the Chinese is working with the Taliban. Well, you know what that means. That means that they have access to technology they've never had access to before, and the real McCoy. So you watch.
Why didn't we bomb it?
I have no idea. They should have destroyed it. If they weren't going to take it with them, it should have been utterly destroyed as they were pulling out. Yet another piece of that horrible pullout.
That's a failure on your commander-in-chief. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
You destroy your equipment. We did that in Vietnam. You saw them dumping off the helicopters into the water.
Yeah. It's what should have happened here.
Now they've got armored personnel carriers, APCs. They've got helicopters, and China might, like you're saying, might be able to supply those parts to repair them. Because we don't leave working equipment. We left broken equipment.
Yeah.
But still, a helicopter's a helicopter.
Oh, yeah.
To get it flying.
We all know how good
radar equipment in it.
Well, we know how good the Chinese are at cloning, right? They'll figure out a way to make it. I did chase away everyone, didn't I? You didn't, Susan. Don't worry about that. We dropped down to four viewers.
See?
People just don't want to talk about it. They want that, or maybe they just don't want to hear things about it. I don't know. It's okay.
But they were so willing to jump on the tweets against Trump and all that crap.
Yeah.
I don't, and we spent how much money over those 4 years trying to get rid of them, impeach them, this, that.
I don't even want to think about it. It was millions with the Mueller investigation alone, and they found zero collusion evidence. A bunch of people got indicted, but not one of them got indicted for what the investigation was started for. It's a huge waste of money. Huge waste of money.
You seem to think we are being brainwashed. You are, day by day.
We are being brainwashed. Yep.
Little by little.
If you're listening to the mainstream media, you are absolutely being brainwashed. If you're listening to politicians, you're absolutely being brainwashed. No question about it. It is a scary world, Gina, but all is not lost. I mean, there are still people out there that care, and that's the important part. I don't think for a moment, Jim, back me up on this if you think so as well. I don't think for a moment we would ever let that what happened in Afghanistan happen here. If if something went completely crazy, I mean, I'm just waiting for Biden to look to change the second, because he's already ignored the Supreme Court's decision on that rent moratorium. They said it was unconstitutional, but they were going to let it ride out until the end of July. And he said, "Oh, I know it's unconstitutional, but I'm going to extend it anyway." Never
What's
before.
unconstitutional is giving people a vaccine card.
Yes.
What happened to Health Information Privacy and Protection Act?
Exactly. HIPAA is what he's talking about.
I'm not allowed to know your name, but now you want me to have a vaccination card?
Yeah.
No, hell no.
Exactly.
You got variant D coming out, and don't you forget the fact that this started back in 2000. I mean, because like we talked about, there's a timeline of when you had the SARS virus, you had the Zika after that, and then what were the other? Oh, remember when Ebola was a big scare?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Of course, they made movies out of it. We're all gonna die. every 20 years, we're all gonna die. Year 2000, everything was gonna stop because our computers were gonna stop.
Oh, I remember that too. The Y2K scare. Yeah. Oh man. Well, we're a species that thrives on fear, and there are a lot of weak minds out there that succumb to it oh so easily. Yeah, I'm a wonder we made it. I'm amazed that we made it this far. Honestly.
You have your red states and your blue states. The fact is that somebody's counting them, and when it comes down to it, people are still saying yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we may be quiet, we may be the minority voice, but we are the majority.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's only so much crap people will take.
It's true. It's true.
They obviously haven't hit their breaking point yet.
No. And I hope we never do.
When you watch looting and rioting, I say you don't do a damn thing. You just surround the area of looters.
Mm-hmm.
Stick 2 drones up in the air, film them all. We'll get you tomorrow when you're done looting.
Yeah.
You'll be rebuilding this area, not the American people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, work details should be brought back for sure. Chain gangs, if you will.
Why sit in jail?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fix what you broke. I don't know what that.
Labor.
Yes, I don't know what that means. When someone give you card vaccinated by the Lord Jesus came inside me. Jelly Duck, I don't know what you're saying there, bud.
The Lord entered him, but what's the vaccinated card got to do with it?
I don't know. I'm just hoping that wasn't a sexual comment.
Anyway.
You don't think what?
They're going through with that. Everybody has to have a vaccination card nonsense. Anyway.
Oh, they better not. They better not.
Even they get their feelers of what the public's temperature is, when too much. You should have let this virus happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, rather than totally destroy this economy like it has.
Yeah.
Just let those who were going to get sick, because you see, the people in the nursing home aren't dying of MRSA, and they're not dying of pneumonia anymore. Mm-hmm. They're dying of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a moneymaker.
Absolutely, and it's just like I said last time. It's usually a comorbidity, but now if they can tag it with COVID, then it it's like that producer from CNN said. We had the number of deaths on the screen, and we're all pissed off when it didn't go up because it wasn't sensational enough. Oh, I was making a joke. We didn't get it, dude. I'm sorry.
Comorbidity, like Jim just said, means you have more than one disease. There's an underlying reason why you died. You didn't die from a vaccine. You died because you had a disease already that was brought to the front by the vaccine.
Yeah, or left you weak.
That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, could have left you weak, especially those with respiratory problems. Mm-hmm.
Look at the people with cardiac problems. How often do you go into your doctor and he says, "Hey, let's do a cardiac exam today"? That's never going to happen.
Right.
Until you start crying a chest pain, that's when you'll get the testing.
How true. How true. Where are we at on time, Jim? Okay, we've been about an hour. I don't have anybody else calling in. I guess this was one of those touchy subjects that the
It
people didn't want
truly
to talk
is,
about.
because even on mine, where we rant about drones and stuff like that and the drone laws, if you start talking about this kind of thing, people will leave.
Interesting.
They don't want to hear, because they're truly tired of it.
Yeah.
They're tired of the mask today, no mask tomorrow.
Yeah.
All I've ever said from the beginning is, please read why the mask was even made in the first place, what the paper mask was made for. Just educate yourself on one little thing. That's all I ask. And the size of a virus.
Yes.
Nanometers.
Yes, exactly. Well, Jim, on that note,
I'm sorry to have ruined your show. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't ruin my show, dude. I think it was a good good discussion. We agree on most points. So, but that is what it is, and that's fine. There's no problem with that at all. I appreciate you coming up, man. We just got to stay vigilant.
Glad you bring up the topics. I wish more people would. And there are a lot of people who agree with us. A lot.
Oh, I know there are. And I know I'm going to lose some people doing this, but it's got to be talked about. That's kind of where my head's at now. And if I'm not talking about it, like we were saying earlier, then it's just not, it's not in the forefront of a lot of people's mind. And listen, anything that I say on this program or any of my guests say, don't take as gospel. Go out and do your own research. Try to stay away from the mainstream media, because they've got an agenda, all of them. Look for those people who are actually doing true journalism, and you will learn more than you probably want to, but it's a good thing. Information is power. Without that information, you are powerless.
If you're tired of Google, try DuckDuckGo.
That's all I use, as a matter of fact. I do not use Google for my search engine at all. So.
All right, sir. You want to throw me out since I don't know how to get out?
Oh yeah, I'll throw you out, dude. Thanks again, Jim. We're
not alone.
Yeah, I know we're not, man. I know we're not. I absolutely know that. But again, good talking to you, man. Let's do this again sometime, will we?
Thank you, sir.
Hey, you bet. We'll see you. And I wasn't kidding about that. If you guys have any question about any of the subjects that are brought up on this show or any other shows, do your own research. But again, stay away from the mainstream media. And if you're unhappy with the way things have gone with this pullout or any other political decision, write your representatives. That's what they're there for. If you stay silent, you stay complicit. Don't do that. Well, that's gonna do it for me tonight, folks. Appreciate Jim stopping by, and thought it was a good conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Try to do maybe 2 live streams this week, but certainly Sunday if I don't get back on before then. Excuse me. Susan, much love, girl. I get that we disagree on some points, but that's what makes life interesting, right? If we all thought the same, this life would suck. Speaking of which, make sure that you treat others the way you would want to be treated. If we all did that, this world would be a better place. See you next time, folks.